Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. We have some news, but before we get into that, I just want to take a minute and ask you guys to make sure that if you like this type of content, that you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell next to it to be notified of every video I post here on the channel. And if you could do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up, that'll help the channel out greatly every time you do that. Anyway, on with the news. The very first thing that I have for you guys is actually from the Beasts of the Mesozoic line, and specifically Cyberzoic. We have a look at the Arctic Dragon. This was fully revealed at the SDCC over the past weekend, and it looks really cool. Of course, straight away we would start with something that's not technically a dinosaur, but since this is in a line of dinosaurs, I felt it was pretty necessary to show it off to you guys. It looks really cool. If you're a fan of dragons, I feel like this is probably a must-have. And on top of that, it is huge. You can see that it is absolutely gigantic, which is really cool as well. But on top of that, David has recently uploaded a nice gallery full of the Achillibator and Utah Raptor figures, the prototypes that we had also seen revealed at the SDCC, again giving us a much better look at them, and I must say they are completely dream-worthy. Like, I am so in love with both of these, it's honestly crazy. They're two of the nicest looking articulated dinosaur models I think I've ever seen, both perfectly replicating the species they are meant to represent, but just some of the nicest detailing I think I may have ever seen on any Beasts of the Mesozoic figures, showing how they continue to improve as time goes on, which is always amazing to me because their products were already about as high quality as I could possibly imagine. But clearly David Silva is continuing to improve the Beasts of the Mesozoic line consistently, and I feel like this gallery showing off these beautiful figures is pretty much proof of that. Definitely looking forward to the release of these. And then as far as Safari Ltd goes, they recently unveiled another new for 2022 figure, as we have the Stiggymaulik, and it definitely looks pretty fun. Looks like it'll be a cool addition to the Safari Ltd line, and this is a Dino Dana figure, so that might be why you would see this type of appearance for it and coloration and everything. Definitely not my first choice as far as colors go, but it may be one of those figures that I probably need to see in hand to truly appreciate the paint scheme, but still a really cool looking, really unique version of a Stygimoloch coming soon from Safari Ltd. And then as far as Rebor goes, we have a look at the fully painted up prototype for their Deinosuchus, and man is it incredible. Absolutely perfect looking paint scheme and paint application, incredibly realistic and lifelike, as well as the deceased dinosaur in its jaws. I would actually love to see a living version of that because I'm a big fan of the sculpt that I see there on that, but also the paint job that they were giving that one I think looks really cool. Cannot wait for the release of this and the Sarcosuchus. I'm sure they'll probably be the definitive versions of both species when they do officially release. And then as far as Mattel goes, and thanks to Collect Jurassic for this information, but they had unveiled a few new figures coming from Mattel for the Dino Trackers line, which is the line that we will be seeing release here after Jurassic World Dominion. And it's really cool to see these figures already in package. Collect Jurassic does state that these are scheduled for a 2023 release, which means that unfortunately they're not, right around the corner like we would hope them to be. But it is still really cool to see them unveiled here with the actual figures in package, and we have a lot of really cool species actually. The very first one is probably one of the most surprising, I would say, as we have an Eocarcharia, and that is very, very interesting. Like, I would have never expected Mattel to release a species like that, but it's a really cool looking figure, honestly. I actually really quite like the paint job. Very similar paint job to the Rugops that they recently released, and I feel like it worked pretty well on that figure, so definitely looks really neat on this one, and an awesome species that, again, is a species I don't have a model or figure of, so thank you to Mattel, I now will. We also have a Kronosaurus, which looks really neat, even though it's a little hard to really see the figure. Can't really see like a side view or anything, which I'd love to, because the paint scheme and paint application of this one definitely looks really nice from what we can see here. The sculpt as well, it's a little hard to truly judge, but it looks pretty good. I am sad to see that we still have that weird kind of obnoxious looking button there on the top of the figure, but as a whole it definitely looks really fun, and it's awesome to see that Mattel is continuing with the different marine reptile releases. Then we have the Dryptosaurus, which was only recently revealed at the SDCC, and this one as well looks great. I think the sculpt looks beautiful, and yet another really nice looking paint scheme and paint application. Of course, it's always a little hard to tell when it comes to figures like this how nice the entire body looks, since we don't really see the tail or anything, but from what we can see here, this definitely looks like another winner. And then we have the Diabloceratops, and I love that they gave this that kind of red devilish paint scheme. Obviously, really quite fitting for the Diabloceratops name, but the sculpt looks really cool, and I actually really quite like the paint scheme and paint application for this one. Again, hate the buttons up there on the top, but the figure itself definitely looks nice. And then we have the Sinotyrannus, and this one might be one of my favorites overall. The sculpt is phenomenal, as well as the paint job. Of course, it looks like the tail's a little bit short, but that's just pretty much typical Mattel, I would say. But this one looks really neat. I really love the paint scheme they've given this one as well. And yet another really obscure species that they're pulling out for the Dino Trackers line. I absolutely adore the fact that Mattel has been giving us so many random obscure species that are just like completely out of left field. I would have never expected to see in the Jurassic toy line. And then the final one is actually probably the least exciting of all, and it's the Stegosaurus. But this Stegosaurus actually looks pretty cool. It definitely has a fun paint scheme. I'm a little bit curious as to whether there's like a new action feature or something with the tail, because the tail seems like it's much lower to the ground than it normally is for a Mattel Stegosaurus. So it'll be cool if we have something new as far as like an action feature or articulation or something with the Stegosaurus. I would actually be happy with if it was just an articulated tail. I wouldn't even need an action feature back there, but it definitely is another pretty cool looking Stegosaurus. Probably, I would say, one of my favorite Stegosaurus paint schemes I've seen from Mattel. So as of right now, guys, that's all the news I've got. When more comes out, I'll be sure to send it your way. But until then, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.